Why did I paint my nails? Because my pee-pee big.
Alright, welcome back ladies and ladies with dick. If you're expecting this video to be me straight bashing somebody that isn't straight, then you are terribly mistaken. Truth be told, I couldn't give one luck of a fuck if Chris swapped out his dingle and berries for 2 cherries and a pot pie. That's not the focal point of this video, nor would it ever be to me, because I really just don't care about people's sexuality. As long as your eyes aren't locking onto my cock, then you go do whatever your happy heart desires. The reason why I'm making this is not to really show the change on Chris's identity, but rather his behavior as of recently, whether it be him flexing $1 million to all the happy little beasters out there on Twitter, or him changing his moods up like them shits was the seasons by lashing out on random people that criticize him in their DM. And just overall actions you can't really do when you work for quite possibly, actually not, the biggest goddamn channel on YouTube, as it comes off as completely unprofessional, just portrays your self-esteem to be lower than your testosterone levels. Tyson was somebody that I absolutely loved on the MrBeast crew, and somebody that I have seen progress with them all the way back since 2017. I'm not saying this to brag or anything, but I watched them before their worst intros. I was on that worst thumbnail wave. So seeing them build themselves into what they are today is truly something that is impossible but to give respect to. The point of bringing that up is Chris was a member that I could say was definitely my favorite, as he was the only other person that would be on MrBeast's channel during that time, and it was honestly just 2 dudes hanging out in a bedroom recording dumbass skits and watching kids make horrible YouTube intros on KindMaster. You know, it was the shit, and something I think a good portion of you watching can relate to. Hell, even Stiko, our own favorite relationship counselor, had nothing but praise to give to the man.
The Chris I know was like a truck driving, AK-47 shooting, Call of Duty playing, dip chewing. Yep.
And it's something that takes a little getting used to, as somebody that got to see the whole entire channel blossom and the friendship between the two evolve, basically. But my problem really isn't with Chris's initial transition. I actually have to be serious and careful with my words for once, but it's the impact that he's going to have on his son's life. I don't really have much input on him and his wife divorcing, as Chris himself announced that he was bisexual before they even split up, and has been for a long time. So it seems like this is something he's been wanting to do secretly forever, rather than a sudden change as a get back for his wife, like this motherfucker pulled a Mrs. Doubtfire or some shit like people are claiming. But a father figure is what I would say is essential to a kid's life, and if you grew up with a mom and a dad in your life, there is without a shadow of a doubt that these two have taught you completely 2 separate things that the other can't replicate. You wouldn't have grown up to be the same person today if you didn't have one or the other, and with Chris flipping the whole family on his ass by leaving the wife and becoming it, so it could definitely shape the kid's life differently and possibly negatively. I mean, he didn't leave to get the milk, this motherfucker left to make it. So obviously there will be some bad annotations that could come across this kid's life, but realistically Chris is absolutely rich. He made sure to show us. So it's not like he's going to grow up going to some thuggish ass school with a dropout rate of 62% where he would get bullied every day for his father not having a penis. He'll more than likely on the social side of things grow up to live a pretty good life. But still, just having the absence of a father I feel like is a bond that every single child desires at the end of the day, and with Chris dropping his dick off like an album all of a sudden, it'll definitely be a different scenario for the kid, and something that he might eventually be upset about. You know, when he sees all his peers having a good relationship with their father, he might feel a sort of emptiness in his life that only that role could fill. That's my whole takeaway on how his physical change can impact his family, but one of the biggest narratives that is floating around is that it's going to damage MrBeast's reputation to the point where even YouTube channels with 3 million subscribers are trying to say the only solution for MrBeast to save his channel is to make Chris resign.
The only clean solution should things go south might be for Chris to resign himself, and even then rumors and bad press will be unavoidable.
Which is fucking wild, basically portraying Chris as a damn business prop rather than an actual person. But I think I'm going a little ass backwards. Let me go back to the exact start of this whole altercation and what led up into Chris being in the controversy that he's at today. This hormonal hurricane started to whir on April 5th of 2023 when somebody on Twitter posted a tweet wondering how he transformed from a country bumpkin that holds his gun high but his beer higher to something that would crawl out of Marilyn Manson's asshole. Obviously it would stumble anybody aback if they haven't seen him in a while, and that's where Chris himself would respond by saying he's been taking HRT for a little over 2 months, which for those who don't know is hormonal therapy. This particular interaction might seem harmless, and it did get an overwhelming amount of support. But this incident is what led to the start of a war in the replies, because some of these people were acting like they were Chris's immediate family members and were directly impacted by his change, because a lot of people on the internet weirdly value other lives over their own. Bro left his wife and kid to become a part. Okay, I'm sorry, that one was funny as I think maybe you should stop the HRT and get some counseling and figure out what the actual issue are instead of this. Jesus Christ, short-sighted move for long-lasting effects. This is sad. sad. Reaching a little bit, but I mean, I understand his pain. We got Big L from a crypto enthusiast. That's like the equivalent of a furry running up and sniffing you cutely. Point being is the exact opposite of intimidating, and anybody with crypto or NFT in their name is already an established virgin with a 400 credit score and can never be taken seriously on anything that they say. There goes a father figure the kid won't ever be able to look up to. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Weak man time. And this one, Chris actually fired back by saying, this is just more dog whistling that somehow trans and GNC folks aren't safe around kids. Tucker begs for me to come back when I leave for like 2 days to film. He is also so loved and happy. Kids aren't born with hate, it's taught by people like you, and my child will only know love. Now, I could show replies for about hours of people just practically saying the same thing, and it's something that I may not 100% agree with, but it's something I understand. Because Chris is constantly advocating to be yourself and promoting hormonal injections to an impressionable amount of children. And you know, they might eventually stumble upon this and want to try HRT for themselves, especially with this picture he posted recently with the caption that it's never too late to be yourself. Because let's sit here and think this from a logical standpoint, alright? I have no problem with Chris becoming trans, but I do have a problem with him promoting the ideology of becoming yourself when you are entirely changing the chemical structure of your brain. Any hormonal treatment is going to alter your emotions, that's obvious. I'm not saying that he's gonna have like some sort of Winter Soldier memory wipe where he remembers nothing of who he was, but once you are changing the wiring of your brain by pumping a bunch of estrogen in it, then are you really being yourself? And besides him promoting it to kids, that's definitely where many people are running at a standstill over. So after Chris came out publicly and replying back to the people that were hating on his switch up, MrBeast would host a live stream on his lesser known second channel where the whole crew, including Chris, streamed each other opening up fan mail, which sounds innocent on its own, but the energy about the whole stream was different. So different, in fact, that at the time that I'm recording this shit got more dislikes than likes. MrBeast we're talking about here. And all the comments are either ignoring Chris's existence or shunning it, going on to say that this was the most awkward stream they ever been broadcasted to, which I got to heavily disagree. I watched Dark Side Phil bust out the white side live on stream when I was 13, so shit really can't get worse than that. Now, I disagree with people instantly jumping to speculation that Jimmy sees Chris as a burden to the team rather than a friend based off the low energy off of one singular live stream. There's many factors that could play into the role other than MrBeast being disgusted by Chris. Like, I don't know what the hell people expected, for MrBeast to jump up and offer 100,000 for the last one that keeps their genitals between Chris and Carl. Like, maybe he had a long day or was simply tired, not to mention the fact this man still battles with Crohn's disease on the daily, even while managing the biggest YouTube channel. Maybe the motherfucker was just tired. It's really unknown and something I wouldn't even try to speculate, but I think it would be served right if I showed you some of the live streams so you could see for yourself the slight awkwardness that's in the room.
Oh my god, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, it's Jimmy.
How did fan art? This is what we were looking for.
Nice shirt.
Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Hey, nice shirt.
Thanks, dude. Nice shirt.
Thanks. Nice shirt.
Nice shoes.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that ain't some chit chat you would see out of a hentai convention. There definitely was a slight heaviness filled in the room that I couldn't really feel before with their streams, but at the same time, I just personally think that he's not absolutely appalled by Chris, but rather he just misses the old version of the friend he knew for over a decade, and it's something that probably takes a lot to get used to. So obviously a MrBeast stream that has more dislikes than likes is something that just can't go ignored. From this stream and the TikToks that garnished hundreds of millions of views surrounding the controversy, it led a lot of people to wonder how Chris's decision would affect Jimmy and his whole entire brand. Personally, I really don't think it's going to barely even make a dent on the main channel due to the fact that their most recent video garnished over 4 million likes and only has 60,000 dislikes. Definitely clearing the fact that MrBeast and his channel is going to be in the public's favor with the content he does that benefits people. However, it's what Chris has done on Twitter that I think might eventually cause some concern for the whole entire team with Chris's actions, and this is what I personally started to really have my disagreements with the whole entire approach with the transition. So a meme account by the name of Yoxic came out with an arguably true tweet that went pretty viral by saying the old Chris would have made fun of the new Chris. And this can be backed up because in 2016, Chris and MrBeast specifically made a whole entire comedic skit about identifying as an attack helicopter, poking fun of the trans and other alphabet people dropping new genders like they were DLC extensions every single week. And he also tweeted many questionable things in the past towards the person he is today, and I'm not gonna bash the guy for old tweets. I think that argument is fucking stupid because shocker, people can surprisingly mature and change over the course of 5 years. So the meme account continued continued to make another fake follow-up that many people instantly believe, showing Chris threatening to sue the user over the joke for defamation and calling him an evil piece of shit. Yeah, this didn't happen. Well, what did happen is Chris saw the tweet and sarcastically made a joke that showed MrBeast and said, "My lawyer will be in contact with you immediately." Anyone over the age of a fetus and have more than just a stem on their brain can instantly tell that this itself is sarcasm, and Chris was just playing along into the joke. What Chris didn't realize is that this certain user ended up getting harassed unrelentlessly by multiple MrBeast fans over one singular sentence. And Chris even went out to legitimately message this guy halfway apologizing for any oncoming harassment he may have endured from his fans and said, "By the way, I forgot to DM you, but that tweet was funny AF. Hope it didn't get you any extra heat. I thought people would get that I was leaning into the joke, but now I have family members asking if some random article about me is suing you and that other guy are real. Classic Twitter.com users not understanding the concept of a joke. All love to you though." So it's all just love, you know, nothing but a few laughs between the pair and everybody lived happily ever after. Is the exact opposite of what happened, because Yoxic replied with, "I wasn't joking. I do not fuck with you." Now, you can say this was a dick move, but Yoxic doesn't have to owe Chris any respect just because he was being respectful. He did make the initial tweet towards Chris, but it wasn't really anything that discriminatory or harmful that people are trying to make it out to be. And people are harassing him over it, whether Chris maliciously did it or not. He just blew it out of proportion when it really never needed to be, and it only got worse from here. When Chris, in a fit of fucking rage after just saying he was cool with the dude 5 minutes ago, responded back with, "Def fuck with me enough to leech off the cloud of me coming out. All good though, don't fuck with you either. Glad I could give you your 15 seconds of fame." But one thing is for certain, that HRT definitely worked. So you might be thinking, BriZ, what is the point of showing this petty, insignificant little drama? It's just some guy on Twitter who really cares what the hell he has to say, and that's the exact problem, that this is straight pettiness. It goes nowhere but south, and as I was saying previously, when you work for a company that millions of kids around the world idolize and millions more adore, publicly lashing out on random people that said something that hurt your little feelings is not a good look for any brand, especially a brand that pushes only positivity. Giving this guy attention doesn't solve anything or disprove any possible points. It was a joke. This guy trolled you even further, and instead of not being a man, but just a mature person with a huge voice that would just leave it at that or say that's alright, or just anything that wouldn't dig the hole deeper, but he does by responding to Yoxic, who just simply said ratio in return by starting to go band for band with this motherfucker by displaying a tweet that's now deleted of him showing off a wire transfer of $1 million. Now listen, I don't care if you're white, black, gay, or a skinwalker with purple tits. This is absolutely corny for anybody to ever do. Like, what do you have to prove this for? Chris, we know you work for MrBeast. Of course you're going to have fucking money. What other excuse would you have for posting this other than just being insecure with yourself? As somebody that is constantly promoting how you're the happiest you ever been, this just comes off as kind of pathetic. You seem like you had your integrity in the past, and now it appears is about as strong as a papier-mâché bomb shelter. The fact that he later deleted the tweet shows that he knew it was a mistake in posting it in the first place, so when it comes to representing not only himself but MrBeast, I hope he chooses to be more responsible and mature with how people are going to react or clown on his sudden change. Lastly, I want to cover what I think exploded this drama in the first place to almost every public eye, which was Sunny V2's video. Sunny does a lot of informative documentaries with surface level research about YouTubers that either fell off or got into drama that you could find yourself using a couple quick searches off Google. I know I'm aware I do the exact same thing, but here's the thing, I actually own it. My content is lazy as shit, and I do not think I am a super genius for reporting on public information that anybody could find themselves. That's the reality of it for almost all of these informational channels, but Sunny has a very good credibility across the community overall and has made a vast amount of videos that many people, including myself, enjoyed, and that were really put together and had many agreeable points for everybody that watched. But that would all suddenly change when Sunny would upload a video by the name of "Why Chris Will Soon Be a Nightmare for MrBeast." I mean, calling this motherfucker a nightmare is a projection that would definitely be too strong, and I understand it's a title that would catch a lot of attention, and as a YouTuber that's your entire goal. Despite the distasteful title, the video Sunny made had a lot of points that I agree with all the way through until the very end, where you practically label Chris as a prop for business rather than an actual individual person that was alongside MrBeast ever since day one, even referencing Hollywood's recent push for queer characters being a part of movies and comparing it to Chris's image on the MrBeast channel.
And if we've learned anything from Hollywood in recent years, it's that adding over-the-top LGBT characters for the sake of relatability rarely works as intended and is often nothing more than a distraction from the premise of the movie or video.
Just treating him as a simple side character, and that's something that really just didn't sit right with me or many other people, and even MrBeast himself would see the video and finally break the silence about all of this by saying, "Yeah, this is getting absurd. Chris isn't my nightmare, he's my fucking friend, and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off." And I perfectly understand MrBeast's frustration with the trolls on the internet, and he was probably speaking from a general standpoint, but Sunny's video is what I would say is not exactly transphobic at all. He was just discussing the possibilities that could occur and the impacts Chris could have by being transgender suddenly. Another thing that happened was a fake MrBeast leak where where horribly edited screenshots surfaced of some random guy in 4chan that was exclaiming to be an ex-employee for MrBeast. Leaked out a conversation where MrBeast was only supporting Chris just solely for the sake of business and acting appalled by his recent transition. This was proved to be fake, but it just goes to show the amount of time these fucking no-nipple Neanderthals have to make shit up about a celebrity they don't personally know. And that concludes the story there. I wanted to be as informative as possible and try to summarize the whole situation with everything that's going on. I really hope Chris can realize that his transition is going to bring controversy, whether he likes it or not. I really don't care if he chops off his wiener, but a lot of people do, and there is a fine line that I can see and really understand people caring is his involvement with his son now. This is what I would have said qualified as a perfect father with all the traits he has, so seeing this change, I really hope he doesn't abandon the lessons that a father could and should teach to their child. Don't really gotta elaborate. If you don't understand, I'm gonna guess you never had a good relationship with your dad or simply don't have one, and people can still come out as being successful being raised by a single parent. I'm not saying that, but ultimately it's just best to be raised by both and more likely to create a well-grounded adult in the future when you have both parents playing both roles. That's all I gotta say about it. I wish Chris the best in his decision, and I really hope that this won't boil past the point it's gotten to now. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to slap a like before your dad slaps you, subscribe to hit my vibe, and follow all my socials, links down below, especially my Instagram. With that being said, I'll catch y'all in my next video. I'm gonna head out this bit.
Stars in my head won't stop. Bad bitch, she out of war, and I got a Benz on me.